Carly, pigeon, clergy, African American, adult, female. Yes, that's everything. Had to make sure. I am grateful and excited to be here to introduce to you the newest president of Dillard University, Dr. Monique Guillory. So she came here, she joined Dillard in April of 2024 as the provost, and then shortly thereafter, just a few months, was named interim president of Dillard University. So she's been here and then officially was named by the Board of Trustees as the actual president of Dillard University just earlier this year in January, I believe. And so she's been here, she's hit the ground running. There are many times that we try to say, okay, wait, Dr. Guillory, take a breath. Because she's ready to run and really bring Dillard into the 21st century and continue to push Dillard forward and to make sure that everybody knows that Dillard's name is in your mouth at all times. She is a New Orleans native, born and raised, has lived there and has served throughout many, many, many different places, HBCUs and other schools across this country, and so brings a wealth of knowledge to us, to Dillard, to be able to help propel the ministry and the work of Dillard University forward. I'm always excited to serve on their board as a representative of the United Methodist Church as we continue to support the education of African American people and to help move this process forward. So I have the esteemed pleasure of welcoming Dr. Monique Guillory to come and join us and offer words.
This is just so amazing, and I'm so delighted to be here, just really honored to greet you. As Reverend Pigeon said, I grew up in New Orleans. I am a cradle Catholic. And so it has been a real pleasure for me to become more familiar with the Methodist faith and tradition. And the fact that, you know, we have a Bishop Williamson in the Methodist faith. You know, we just recently appointed our first Pope who has Creole ties to the 7th Ward. So, you know, we might be able to align soon with the beautiful vision of inclusivity and welcoming all to all positions that the Methodist faith and tradition has given to us. And so I'm so proud to represent Dillard University as its 9th president, the first president of Dillard from New Orleans at this auspicious gathering. Now, and of course, you know, always the tradition of coming to the pulpit. I am a teacher, not a preacher. And so by default and identifying myself, you know, Black, female, adult, hopefully my words will not bore you to death, but the students might think otherwise. But I am here to talk about the students. And I was so excited to be coming to a group that is gathering under the banner of moving forward with joy, and that deliberate choice and decision that we will be joyous no matter what, rejoice in the Lord always. I count everything as joy. You know, these are also pillars of all Christianity, right? But I could just imagine if I tried to talk to my students about joy. The eye rolls.
Yes.
Joy. You know, the frivolous alignment with just happiness that unfortunately our young people really don't lean into today. They really don't. And I want to bring to your attention, you know, right now it stuns me that I have transitioned into the kind of curmudgeon generation of these young people today, you know, when I was young, you know, like, and telling them these stories that they completely cannot relate to, you know? And it's just so disappointing because I'm an academic. I'm here to teach. I'm here to impart important lessons that I expect you to cherish, lean into, take as your own, follow in my footsteps. Don't you want to be a president of an auspicious university one day? No, they don't. Not at all. Not in the least. There is nothing that strikes fear in the heart of an educator today than asking a student, where do they see themselves in 5 years? And what do they invariably say? I want to be an influencer. I want to be a streamer. I want to have my own YouTube channel. We're not teaching any of that at Dillard. Yet. And the message I want to bring to you today is just that lesson of listening and the renewing of one's mind. You know, there's always this gulf between the generations. It's inevitable. It's the way that progress actually happens. It's the way that human evolution actually happens. But technology has expedited and widened that gulf. It has broadened that chasm because it does truly represent a paradigm shift for all of humanity around the globe, which has become much smaller than it was during the industrial age when we had a similar paradigm shift. Okay? So that lack of understanding between young people and older people is wider than it's ever been. And it makes sense, right? Times are changing, things are happening quicker, the world is getting smaller. And as an educator who did not set out to be a president, I came with the intention of being a provost, a position I had held previously. Like most college administrators, I had thought about becoming a president, had applied for some presidencies, got close. But the closer I got to the presidency, the less I actually wanted to do it, honestly. And it was partially because of how staid and stagnant I was concerned higher education had become. I knew I could not be a traditional president. I knew I could not go to a college or a university where they were wedded to the status quo, kind of that swamp reservoir analogy that President Poe presented to us. I could not be that leader. I could not be that champion of, we're great just the way we are, and I saw what was happening in education, 35 years as a higher ed administrator. And that was not appealing to me. I felt like on the academic front, with curricula and programming and coursework, that was the best way for me to reach students given the changes that are happening. But of course, God calls. You know, you make plans, and God has plans. And I was humbled and honored to have answered the call. And of course, God placed me exactly where I needed to be because I could not be a president any other place than where I am currently serving. I can only do this because I have the blessing and the grace of being supported by my family in a community where I grew up and I know it intimately. Again, your God has a sense of humor. So at 46 years old, I had my second child. Surprise. After being told, after 2 years of trying to have a child, slim to no chance of conceiving on your own. Fast forward 7 years. 7 years, okay? Bingo! Here's the anointing. So I'm blessed with a lovely 9-year-old right now who I really believe needs to have his mommy. And yet God called me to serve this illustrious institution, and I am so honored and humbled to serve with the grace and the support of a really loving and beautiful community. And that community includes Dillard University, which is a remarkable institution, 155 years in the making, you know, the oldest HBCU, historically black college and university in the state of Louisiana. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about how we are reframing Dillard for a moment such as this. Because there is a paradigm shift in the world today that is presenting itself in a very unique sense with our young people. And that separation, that distance that we feel between young people today. And the challenge I would levy to everyone is dare to imagine that there is something you can learn from young people besides adding an app to your phone or programming your DVR, if we still do that. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't use my DVR, but I remember that was like the thing that older people always got young people to help them with. But with this idea of everybody wanting to be an influencer, so in my attempts to spend more time with my 9-year-old, I sat down one day and I watched one of his favorite shows, which wasn't like SpongeBob and, you know, the kind of cartoons. And I noticed that he was spending a lot of time on YouTube watching this personality named Mr. Beast, okay? Which, you know, doesn't resonate real well in the Christian tradition, right? But as I watched this young man who is 27 years old, his name is Jimmy Donaldson, North Carolina. There are 16 billionaires on the planet who are under 30 years old. Jimmy Donaldson is the only one who is self-made. All of the other young billionaires on the planet inherited their money. He made his solely through influencing and cryptocurrency. Who in here understands cryptocurrency? Okay, we got about 4 hands. This young man taught himself from information he gleaned off the internet about cryptocurrency and the formula for videos to go viral. And he is telling young people, and he's not the only one, he is telling young people that this is not luck. It is a simple formula of how to produce videos that will go viral and earn you money. And our young people really believe in this. In the same way that they used to believe in becoming an athlete or becoming a rap artist. But there's actually a lot more wealth and money that is to be found through these pathways. And so for this very reason, Dillard is going to offer a course on becoming an influencer. Because this is the reality of where our young people are. And as a campus leader, I have to demonstrate to my students, I hear you. And what you are experiencing and what you value is important to me. Now, is everyone going to become an influencer? And what are they going to influence around? Just to show you how real this anti-intellectual movement is, Jimmy Donaldson's first video to go viral, do you know what he did? Does anybody know Mr. Beast's first viral video, what he did? He sat there and he counted to 100,000. That's what he did. 100,000. He counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think he even did it in any kind of dramatic way. I don't think he performed it or anything. 25 million people have watched that video. And I want young people to take out loans to come to college and get a degree and listen to older people tell them how to live life and what's important. And this young man became a billionaire with the idea of sitting in front of a camera and counting to 100,000. There's a disconnect here. And it worked. And people were interested, and they tuned in. I talked to students who watched that video. Why did you watch this video? Well, I wanted to see if he was really going to do it. I wanted to see how he handled bathroom breaks. I wanted to see if he was going to stop to eat. So it taught me that in my little bubble of academia, that is not representative of the larger world. This community of well-intended, God-loving Christian people, we are not necessarily representative of the wider world, unfortunately. So let us not be lulled into a false sense of security that we represent the whole world. We want to believe in the goodness of all people. But when 25 million people tune in to watch a young man count to 100,000 and feel like there's nothing better they can do with their time than that, I had some thinking to do. So I do want to share with you really briefly, beyond just offering this course in becoming an influencer, a paradigm that we are using to reframe the freshman year at Dillard. Because I know that what young people, if they are going to invest in a formal education, it has to be something that is better aligned with where the world really is. And I'm truly prioritizing their personal individual development. I'm not as interested in what your major is going to be. I'm not as interested in prerequisites and course sequencing, not yet. In that freshman year, I want students to be introduced to themselves. To thine own self be true, know thyself. Because right now, I don't know how much students are even aware of their own identities beyond the pronouns that they are asked to share. So the 4 parts of reframing a Dillard education are mind, self, spirit, path. That's the 4 parts. Mind, self, spirit, path. So starting with their minds, helping them to understand, number one, you have a mind that works in a lot of very intricate ways. Your thoughts and your feelings are things that are separate from yourself. Being mindful, thinking about your thoughts, thinking about where they come from, what they are motivating you to do, what's behind them. What is your story? What is your history that is informing the way you think? So just encouraging them to be more thoughtful, whether that is going to be through prayer or meditation or journaling, but just equipping them with that level of self-awareness. Self. This vessel, this body that we are blessed to call home for a very short period of time. To show some appreciation for it, to think about it, your relationship with it. I saw a meme where someone was talking about if you are the spirit that has been charged with taking care of this body, you are actually the spirit charged with taking care of this little person. How would your choices be different? So getting our students to think about the relationship they have with their own bodies. Do they take care of themselves? Are they struggling with chronic disease? That mind part, so many of them struggling with mental illness, depression, anxiety, not knowing how to deal with it, turning to things like social media, like the internet, like cannabis, food, sex, drugs, all of these things that are so readily available to young people today that they use to self-medicate. Mind, self, spirit. We want to absolutely lean into the Methodist tradition and have a greater relationship with the church, and so we're working on developing and building that. But just building into students a greater relationship with the divine. And then we come to path. That is when, once you know who you are, once you have this better relationship with yourself, with your spirit, with your God, how are you going to take those gifts into the world? And that is the framework with which we want to educate our students. And we are so delighted to be taking this journey as a Methodist institution. And I really want to thank you all for your attention today and for allowing me this opportunity to introduce you to Dillard University. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.